Yep, this is the third part of our lesson for today, and it's our final part. We are going to analyze author's craft, and that's the last part of our learning target. So today we've already done the I can use poetry to develop and deepen comprehension. That was our first activity. Then we recognized and analyzed genre specific characteristics like alliteration and um, similes, metaphors. We read and looked for those sorts of things. And finally, we're going to look at those characteristics and analyze them for author's craft. We're also writing to take notes on specific types of writing like poetry. So let's finish this up. Let me get to the right slide, and then we will get started on our last part. So we've already read this poem a couple times and we've analyzed it. We have numbered it, we've found the stanzas, we've found rhyme, we've looked for different specific types of figurative language. And now it's time to think about the purpose of those figurative languages. So but this is not going to be a lot hard. It's not going to be hard for you, but you might have to flip back and forth because you've already marked up for figurative language and you already marked up for the elements of poetry. So you might be sliding back and forth like I am on this Nearpod. And the first thing I'm going to look at right here is sensory language. That is an example. Now, I know it says element of poetry, but figurative language is an element of poetry. So, in this specific figurative language that I'm looking at is sensory language. I had a couple different spots of sensory language. So, I'm going to write sensory language on the slide. This is my example. I'm going to use a text box because it's going to be easier and neater for me to write that. And right here, I'm going to say sensory language. And that is line where I saw sensory language was right here. To think you can be orbiting the earth while looking at a teeming turtle, dolphin, whale, and porpoise habitat. I also said this was the reef so huge it's visible by astronauts in space. I think that's sensory language. And so those are lines 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I can write and 13 through 13, 14, 15 through 16. Now, the hard part will be the purpose because I could identify it. I found it right here, the sensory language. And now I have to think to myself, why would an author have sensory language in a poem? And if I think back, I can even flip back and find out what sensory language is. It says right here, words that appeal to the five senses. The summer breeze smelled like fresh cut grass. And why does an author use it? It creates a special effect or feeling or makes a point. So if I flip back and I look at this sensory language, the reef so huge, it's visible by astronauts in space. And so that helps me get a picture of how large the reef is. So the author wants me to really understand. I'm going to write the author wants the reader to understand the giantness of the coral reef, how large it is. And I know giantness might not be a word. I'm just going to put it in a pot like that because I want to use that word. And so, like, this activity, this final activity you're going to do, you're going to look at the elements that you've identified and thought about, and you're going to tell me the purpose. I did one of them for you, and now it's your turn to try to pick an element that you've already identified and tell me, the teacher, the purpose that the author had for that element. Good luck, and I'll put my copy finished at the end so you have something to look at. I hope this helped. Bye.